Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of E-Heroes. Today's E-Hero is Jim Palmer, and I'm really honored that Jim could join us because actually he's the captain of his own destiny, but he's also the dream business coach. And so thank you, Jim, for joining us, and I'm sure this is going to be a wonderful interview.
Happy to be here, Rob. We're technically former neighbors, at least by county. I was used to Chester County, and you're in Lancaster County.
Yeah, but you've done things that I think are really extraordinary. You sold your home,
hmm
you bought a boat, and now you travel up the East Coast from Maine to Florida. And to me, that's just fascinating.
We've been as far as New England. Part of it was my wife in 2017. She doesn't use the word retired, although she doesn't work anymore. So I don't know what word's more appropriate. And the only reason I'm a wise ass is because she's not here. But she was 25 years in early childhood development, Rob, and it was a really stressful job. And she would leave the house at like 6:30, not get home till 6 o'clock. She goes, "I'm gonna take a quick nap and I'll make us dinner." And I'd wake her up at 9 o'clock to go upstairs, and go to bed. So when she left that, she said, "You could do your job anywhere. Why don't we go have a big adventure?" And I know my story. When I was 41, I was diagnosed with cancer while I was unemployed, almost a full year of being unemployed. Then I got cancer, and it's like, life can be really short. And as my financial person says to me, it would have been wiser to wait a few more years. But to me, it's like, well, then what? I see these people all the time, Rob, that work their tail end off to this mythical date. Okay, I finally have X number of dollars in the 401k. I got through this. Now let's start living. And then, next thing you know, somebody unfortunately drops dead. And not to be too maudlin about it, but we were very, very blessed to find a way to continue running my business and to have an adventure now while we're still young and nimble enough. I used to joke before I bought my first boat when my buddy teased me in nonstop about, "You're always saying you're going to buy a boat, but you won't do it." I mean, he called me out on it, really. "Are you going to talk about buying a boat, or are you actually going to do it, you chicken, you know what?" And I finally said to Steph, "If we don't buy a boat, by the time I get mentally ready, I'm going to jump in my boat. My brittle legs will break." So, you gotta live for today, hopefully in a smart way. And I believe we're being smart and prudent, but you also have to live. I mean, you never know when the curtain's going to come down, Rob.
No, and I think of it as the evolution of our own human development. But as an entrepreneur, you and I have known each other for about 10 years, and we watched each other grow from our own respective companies. Back when I met you, I had owned a carpet cleaning business, and I was more local in Lancaster, and I always dreamt of being more than just this local guy owning a cleaning business. And you were my inspiration to start writing books, to start getting out there, to start and now I'm helping clients all over the world, and you're taking this boat up and down the East Coast, and it's like it's totally different than what we were used to doing, but we took action and we did it.
We did it. And that's the thing. As you and I are doing this interview, I just flew back last night from California, where I ran a two-day mastermind. One of the last things I said to each group on each day was, "Hey, dreams and ideas are nice, and everybody's got dreams and everybody's got goals. But man, and most of the people in there, so there was a couple that were either older than I am. And I said, if you don't act on them, I mean, dreaming is cool because it's free and it's your dream, so you can make it as cool as you want. But I tell you what, when Stephanie and I did this, my heart was ripping out of my chest. I mean, I have no business driving a 50-foot boat with 1,000 horsepower, but I did it, and I've learned how to be pretty good at it. But even as good as I think I am, and I'll be better a year from now and 2 years from now, when we were coming back from Rhode Island about 3 weeks ago, we came out of New York and we took pictures of the Statue of Liberty. I mean, Rob, this is like, holy crap. It's just, I mean, takes your breath away seeing that thing from the water, Miss Liberty. But all of a sudden we got that little, I don't know, it's kind of like a U where New York Harbor and then the top of Jersey, and it's just this whole current thing. We got hit with like 5 to 6 foot waves. And I want to tell you, my desk, which is like on the left side of my boat, and my couch is on the right side. My desk was over here. My boat took on a wave when I drive it from directly up there, and I looked out, and Steph goes, oh my God, oh my God. And I looked out, and there was one wave that was higher than the railing on the bow of my boat. And I knew that was going to be painful, but we survived. And we've had at least 4 times in 2.5 years, Rob, where at one point Stephanie has said, okay, I think we're done. And then the next day we wake up and we look out at the water. Oh, maybe, all right, we'll do better next time. But
Yeah, I
my
mean,
point, and I tell these guys this, I said, you gotta live. I mean, God, you're gonna my father-in-law, that's where Stephanie is now, he's still alive. He's 92. And Steph's mom just passed away this spring, and we saw her on Mother's Day, and she died 2 days later. But she's talking about her next trip. They've traveled their whole life. You know, they're kind of depression era children, and they've always lived life to the fullest. And he's 92, all hunched over, and he's like, he said to me a couple of months ago, God, Jim, I'm a little worried. My money's only going to last me to 106. And I'm like, have you seen yourself in a mirror? I mean, you know, I know each other obviously for a long time, but I mean, they just live. And these people who won't take a shot, Rob, there's so many people. I don't know. By the way, if I'm talking too much, just interrupt and slow me down.
oh no, I enjoy the story.
But a year ago, I went out and did a keynote in California for my friend Craig Valine. And I was just thinking about this. I wonder how much small business owners actually do make. And you'd think with people that survive that 5-year period, okay, at least I'm in the 20% that are going to make it. I just Googled it, and Google said the average small business owner in the United States earns $58,299. And I'm like, WT, what? Whatever you want to, H or F. And I'm like, who would leave direct deposit? You know, for the most part, if you sign out at night at some reasonable hour, you go home and don't think about it. You got vacation, you got health care. Who would go to all the stuff that we go through to build these businesses for $58,000? Now, if you're starting to get there, or I'm not insulting you, but for goodness sakes, if you're going to own a business that will really take care of you financially, because you can do it, right? Anyway.
Yeah, and you know, I was watching I think one of your videos, you were talking about ego, and it all comes back to ego. I mean,
Yeah.
we get into these businesses, we're cocky, we think we know everything. And I know I've been slapped down a few times and say, hey, Rob, you don't know what you're talking about. And, you know, it really makes you humble quick.
Yeah, there was a few turning points. I'll give the short versions, but one of them, after I started coaching in 2009, launched a great fanfare and had like 6 people in my group, and 2 of them were for free. So, anyway, obviously I've grown it since then. But about 2 years in, my coaching program wasn't growing, and I really didn't want to, you know, have the newsletters, the printing, and know how social media, all these different things. But I really wanted to grow I saw coaching as a way, if I could grow that side of the business, that would give me the most flexibility to live this kind of life, right? And so it wasn't growing. So I joined this mastermind, which in and of itself took courage, because there were some really high-powered coaches in there, people I really respected. And, you know, when you join a mastermind, you don't want to be the smartest one in the room. And clearly I was on the other end, at least in my own head, I was on the other end of the scale. And this guy took me aside. I mean, this was the only saving grace, Rob. He didn't do it in front of the room. He took me on a break. Said, Jim, I got a question for you. I'm aware that you want to grow your coaching program, maybe to be like mine. This guy was doing like $2 million a year coaching. I mean, that's some serious dough, right? And he goes, I'm aware that you want to do this. I'm aware of what you're doing to grow your business. He said, but I'm also aware of what you're not doing. And all the while I'm thinking, this is going to be good. I don't want to get taking notes with this guy, but I'm going to take this all in. This is going to be great stuff. And he goes, so let me ask you a question. How is it that you think you're entitled to achieve the same level of success as either me or some of the other people in this room, yet you're not willing to step up and do the things that we've all done to grow our business? How does that work for you, Jim? And it was like so delicately put, but I knew it was the biggest slap across the face, right? Because I had a massive fear of public speaking. I almost didn't graduate high school because you had to get up and read in history class and every other damn thing. And I would convene, I'd count the rows and say, oh, I'm going to be absent on Wednesday because that'll be my turn. I mean, I avoided public speaking at all costs. And but I also knew from once I discovered Planet Dan and some other mentors, speaking is a great way to go from one to one to one to many. Writing a book took me 18 months to write my first book. The reality is I wrote it in about 8 months, took me the rest of the time to get the courage to publish it, because God forbid there's a missing comma and my name's on it. People are going to know I'm horribly challenged with the English language, all this stuff. And, finally, I was in California, and I remember flying home for 5 hours, beating the heck out of myself. I will never, ever be put in that situation of being called basically a wuss and a bunch of other things, being called out like that. And Rob, when I tell you I went to Dale Carnegie, Toastmasters, I went to professional hypnosis, I did everything under the sun. And I really, honestly, I surprised myself. I'm a pretty damn good speaker once you get over that fear. And obviously I've written books and done all these different things. But what it really boils down to is, do you have the courage and cojones to take this dream of yours and actually start moving forward, whether it's just a time investment, or more importantly, do you have the cojones to invest in this business? And people go, well, I don't know, if I get a customer, I'll take it, I'll reinvest. Well, and I'll usually say, did you buy your house for cash? No. Why not? Well, first of all, who's got 150, 400,000, whatever it is, but that's an investment. I said, so is your business, but you treat it like a hobby. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, oh, well. But if you treat it like an investment, like, what if I was able to purchase speed by working with a coach like Rob or Jim or somebody, or getting in a mastermind? What if I was able to purchase speed by acquiring customers faster, by actually not just posting to Facebook and hoping $100 bills fly out of my computer? What if I actually did a paid campaign, and I just don't have the money for that. So anyway, Jesus, you really lit my fuse this morning.
No, and the funny thing is that when I started speaking, I was scared. I got up and I screwed up, and I had my notes in front of me. I couldn't even, I would look at the notes and everything went blurry. I just, and I thought, you know what? I've already messed up. Let's continue to mess up. Let's just keep on going. And I apologized to the audience. I pulled out my cheat sheet, and I just said what I needed to say. I basically read the darn thing. And they saw that I was nervous. And they still clapped for me.
And they forgave you. Yes, because it was the content and the value that you shared.
And then after that, I said, you know what? I'm not going to take slides anymore. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to speak from my heart. And it started to get better and better. And now I can get up, I can talk for an hour and a half. Now I probably bore them after about 25 minutes, but I can do it without being nervous and fearful.
Yeah.
It takes time. But I think some of the new entrepreneurs nowadays, they just don't want to put the time in. Everything's instant.
Yeah. One of the things I do every day is I get up and I go for a walk, and I put in my buds and I listen to things. Dean Graziosi started a podcast, I don't know, about a year ago. I kind of like the guy, right? He seems very down to earth for what he's accomplished. I resonate with him. And there's some other people I think, oh my God, your head's so far in the clouds. But I really like Dean. And he goes, you know what? Here's the difference between entrepreneurs and other people. A doctor signs up for and knows they're going to go to 8, 10, or 12 years of intense college. They're going to end up minimum $500,000 in debt, if not more. They're going to start making crap money, working crap schedules. And at some point down the road, maybe 10 years, they're going to start making some serious coin. He says, so they're willing to go through all of this to get here. Entrepreneurs think, here's my business card and here's my website. Where's my 6 figures, right? They want to go right from zero to, how come people aren't paying me?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I think, I even though I teach my clients how to use social media to benefit themselves and to educate their clients, they believe that social media is that end result, that thing that's going to give them that kind of like an instant lottery ticket. And it's more, I told him, I said, you can't bank on it. It's more of a conversation. And the fact is, you don't control the platform. At any moment, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they could all go away. Then what?
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't, these platforms that I call it, you want to own media. So when you own your blog, you own media. When you own your video series, this is media that you control, you own. You can put it out in front of as many people as you want. You own your own podcast. That's all. I mean, that's like media you can own with your stinking little phone. Think about 20 years ago what you had to do if you wanted to produce video, right? It's amazing. And, you know, I just did a Facebook challenge 2 weeks ago, and I came up with this. I couldn't believe the URL was available. It was sixfigurebusinessplan.com. And Facebook would not run the ads because of the word six figure. They thought it was scammy and, you know, all this and that. I mean, we were like 3 days into when the ad should be running. And you know, my friend Lindsay says, we got to come up with something else. So I came up with Your Dream Business Now. So, but sixfigurebusinessplan.com, they wouldn't run the ads, which just shows you, I don't control Facebook. I have to do, you know, Clint Eastwood, innovate, overcome, adapt, right?
You know, I like that Clint Eastwood, the movie Heartbreak Ridge.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you know, everybody says, well, I'm just going to make videos and become a YouTube star. Yeah, but you don't own the platform.
That's right.
You know, and if Facebook or YouTube doesn't like your content, guess what? You're gone. And so is your business. And so, you know, I enjoy the process of putting out a book. Not necessarily the process of writing a book.
Right.
I like when people say, well, Rob, I really like the content in that book. You know, and in my last one, it was totally not what you would expect from me, because it was called Rob versus the Scammers. It was me taking on the Visa, MasterCard scammers. And people was like, well, Rob, that has nothing to do with social media. It has nothing to do with SEO or what you normally write about. No, but it was something I enjoyed doing. And it was, you know, it showed my sarcastic side. But you know what? That book has gotten me more clients than all the other books before that.
Well, I think it's two things. Number one, you're willing to step out and be your authentic self, right? Mm-hmm. Some people don't like sarcasm. Some people do. Yeah. I always tell this story. I had a guy who this was maybe 5 years ago, and before I lived on the boat, and but I was definitely doing virtual coaching only. I didn't put on a suit and go meet with people. It was actually a law firm. He came from the GKIC world, but he said, you know, Jim, I like what you're doing. You got some good stuff. I'd love it if you could help our firm, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, all right, well, I'm ready to get going. What do you got to do? Well, I need you to come down here. He says, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to Philadelphia. And by the way, and he says, by the way, you always do your videos in t-shirts or you're out in your kayak. You know, I'm not sure my partners will agree with that. I said, you know what, this isn't a good fit. I just knew right away. Well, why not? Because this is who I am. What you should be interested in, what I can do up here for you. Mm-hmm. If I give you one idea and it moves you forward and brings in more clients, who cares how I'm dressed? And if we meet on Skype or Zoom or whatever, and I'm not chastising you, you have a right to do what you want. But the point is, most people are afraid to be them, their true self, to be their authentic self, because it's going to turn off a certain percentage of people, which is true, but it's also going to attract certain people. Yeah. There's this guy in my mastermind, and I mean, almost every call, I'm just relentless. This guy is an idea guy, but he's like a one toe in the water guy. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how wet are you going to get standing in the shallow end of the pool? You gotta go. You gotta go. I know. But the point is, if I worried about him going, you know what, Jim, I'm out of here. I believe, and I truly believe this as a coach, that if someone invests with you, whatever level, they need to get the truth. And I'm not going to tell somebody one thing and just hope, okay, I'm going to make sure their credit card clears next month. Mm-hmm. I feel a responsibility to give it to them straight. That's why they want to work with me. And so again, you know, yeah, I see your stuff and I see your sarcastic side, and but at least you are who you are, right? You're not a phony baloney, which is what most people try to be, such a phony baloney to appeal to the biggest crowd. And in reality, one of the things I often tell people, I had a CPA once who said, I said, dude, you got to write a book. Great positioning, blah, 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 all the stuff you and I could rattle in our sleep. He goes, well, here's the problem. CPAs don't read books. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Just out of curiosity, how many CPAs are in the United States? 15, 20,000? He goes, no, it's actually like 48,000. And I said, how many do you know personally? And he goes, well, Jim, come on, that's not fair. I said, well, what do you mean it's not fair? You don't read books. You probably know 6 others in your community. Maybe they all don't read books. Somebody must read a book. right? And I said, the truth of the matter is, and this is, you know, I got my little calculator where whatever it is, because I'm math challenged, but I said, let's say this is funny because he's a CPA and I'm teaching him math. Let's say you want to have a coaching program, which is what's his next step, $500 a month, right? Yeah, that's a no-brainer, $500 a month. And let's say you bring in 20 people, just 20 people. You know, that's not even one for half the states in the country, right? And so what's the math there? And then times 12, you're already over 6 figures with 20 people. Can you find 20 CPAs in the country who might read your book? I think so, right? So they have all these reasons why things aren't going to work, or they presuppose what the answer is.
Yeah. You know, my first book, when I was coming to the process of writing that first book, I had stacks and stacks of, you know, blogs that I written out I wanted to include in the book. And I thought, this is garbage. So I came up with the concept of just 27 easy ways to make your social media experience more, you know, and so I wrote down these 27 ways. I'm like, okay, now I have to expand it. I wrote the book in like 30 days. Now it wasn't perfect, but I put it out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, right away, people were like, wow, you know, and I think I sold like 3,000 copies right away. And I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And then I start getting the calls, the negative Nancy's. They're like, well, Rob, you know, this phrase doesn't sound right, or the grammar's off. I'm like, did you read it? Did you like it? Well, yeah, I found, did you find solutions that will help you? Yeah. And then I don't care.
You know, that's really what holds people back. As you know, it's perfectionism, right? Yeah. And that's funny. Your story is similar to mine. What prevented me from launching my first book for like just almost a whole year, I was worried about that. And about 3 months in, I don't think I sold 3,000 books, but I think I sold about 1,800 in the first 30 or 60 days, which I was thrilled with, because back in the day, I had a garage full of them. It's not print on demand like today. Yeah. There's no risk in writing a book today, believe me, but I had ordered like 2,000 copies. They all came in boxes of 50. Anyway, I get an email from a guy, and I'm feeling pretty good. It looks like 2 months are in, 1,800 books. Looks like I escaped being a complete boob as an author. And I get an email from a guy who said, hey, Jim, I just thought you ought to know on page 137, there's a dangling participle. And I lean back, I go, oh my God, damn it. I knew that was going to happen, right? And I, you know, I thought, what in the hell's a dangling participle? I have no clue. I still don't. And so I hit reply and I put, hey, thank you for letting me know. I'm going to let my editors review that for the next printing. Made myself sound real big, you know. And something made the little voice in my head goes, go ahead and ask him. So I hit comma, by the way, what did you think of the book? And I sent that back. And he goes, oh, I love the book. I now know what's you know, relevant content, non-relevant content, the type of paper, how to fold it. He went all through the thing. He said, it's a great book. You know, Rob, this was a real awakening for me, because I went, my imperfect book has a fan and probably a No Hassle newsletter customer, dangling participle and all. Yeah. And so, you know, there is there's no perfect person on earth. So get over even trying to do that. It's just not going to happen. But the thing, if some of your viewers are struggling with that, I'll give you a strategy. It's not easy, but this is what you want to do. You make a decision. It's an actual decision you're going to make. You choose that from now on, moving forward, you choose to be judged on the value of the content and the quality of the information you're putting out, and not the imperfect way in which you do it. As I said, I will mess up all the time doing videos and this, that, and the other thing. I'll post, and every once in a while, Stephanie will read something. She goes, for God's sakes, did you even see the word your is Y-O-U-R, and it should be, you know? So I'll go, oh, edit, go back and fix my post. But I just go fast. Yeah. I don't say this with her because I don't want to argue, because we live in a very small space, but I'm like, I rely on the content, the quality, the information, the value in which I'm providing, and not the imperfect way in which I share it. You know, but that's a very relieving thing, Rob.
Yeah. You know, and I'm a big believer in the Apple, the Apple and Microsoft way. You put products out, they're not perfect. Then if you want to do updates, do updates. But, you know, if you look at Apple and Microsoft, you're constantly buying these things, and they're not perfect, and they're constantly, you know, sending
reinventing
updates.
them. Yeah.
And it's just, if you think of it that way, at least you're starting to make money with your product. And now you have future money that you can go back and fix what you needed to.
You know, before we went live, you and I were talking about GKIC, and you went to the super conference, and this was a turning point for me. And I have thanked him many times. But Bill Glazer, when he launched his book, Outrageous Advertising, that's outrageously successful. I believe that was his first one. And he says, he was up on stage, and this is back in the day, it was like 1,400 people in this room. And I used to sit in the back, and I never just don't like sitting up front. Plus, I like to observe and see what's going on in addition to taking in the content, right? And he goes, let me tell you something, my book. You laugh at it, you think the cover might be a little homemade. There's probably some mistakes. He goes, here's the difference. When my book is on the bookshelf, let's say Barnes & Noble, and somebody, Outrageous Advertising, they pull it off, they look at it, they thumb through it, and they buy the book. Two things have happened. I made a sale. You know, hooray for me, I might get $1 or whatever, but I probably also greatly increased the chance of me getting a customer down the road because of that book. And he goes, your perfect book that you have yet to publish because you're trying to find the last comma or the last place where you spelled S-O-N instead of S-U-N, my imperfect book is beating the crap out of your perfect book. And in a room of 1,400 people, I felt like he was lasering on me way back in the back row. And that's what got me to just push the button and finally put out, you know, the magic of newsletter marketing.
Yeah. You know, and now look at you. I mean, you're you're cruising up and down the East Coast, which I think is just phenomenal, you know, but it's not always easy. And
it's not.
You have so many challenges, but you've taken it and kind of done a side business out of it, doing videos, showing people, you know, your experience on the boat, how the boat works, you know.
Yeah, we started a YouTube channel for those who might be interested. Just go to YouTube. Our Floating Home it's Stephanie's and my channel. I don't talk business. It's about our life on the boat. And we've been inspired by so many other people. Stephanie thought she had a brilliant idea, or it was brilliant, but a unique idea. Let's live on a boat. Well, turns out there's thousands and thousands of people who do it. And we've been following some of these people and learning from them. And the thing is, I would say 80% of the people that are living on boats are sailboaters who just want to go off the grid. Well, that's not me. I'm not camping. I live in a very nice boat. I've got air conditioning and heat, and I've got electricity wherever we go. I mean, I could run the whole boat out in the anchor. And I said, well, there's got to, and I'm part of these Facebook groups, and there's people who are always posting in, I'm thinking of doing this. And I said, who knows where it's going to go? I have no illusions. I mean, I've got like 130 subscribers, so it's nothing to write home about. But if we can just share some content that might help somebody out because somebody helped us out, that's why we're doing it. It's kind of fun. It's making me a better editor, you know, rather than the old days I used to slap my stuff together.
Not only have you become a hero to entrepreneurs everywhere, but you've become a hero to boaters everywhere because, you know, now they're seeing that you can do it. You know, not only you can do it, but they can do it, and the others can do it. And you know, I always wanted to live life on a boat. I can't do that until the kids move out.
Yeah.
And but you know, how do people get a hold of you? You know, how do they go to your Dream Business Academy? How do they find you or get your books?
Well, I appreciate that, but I hope that I've done my last one. I did 8 of them. Because I'll tell you what, there's very few things. I almost said nothing harder. Let's say there's only a couple things harder than putting on your own live event. You know, trying to get, you know, 50 or 60 people to fly somewhere, butts in the seats as they call it, teaching for 3 days, keeping the speakers happy. I mean, and the expense. I mean, you know, I'm not in the GKIC world when they do their events, but you know, it cost me $35,000 to do my event in Orlando. Now, God forbid nobody came, you're still on the hook for most of that money because you got a contract. And if people come to your event and they stay at Motel 6 down the road and you promised a room block, I mean, it's scary stuff. It's step up and see what you're made of time. But anyway, I don't want to go into that. But when we moved on the boat, Rob, first of all, you know, we've got a storage unit up there in Exton that has so much crap in it, including all my DBA stuff, banners, wall stuff. So it's really hard for me if I want to do that. Yeah. But we're doing some live mastermind days and some other things. But anyway, my home base website is getjimpalmer.com, getjimpalmer.com. I have a free Facebook group, Build Your Dream Business Now. If you're an entrepreneur, we do all kinds of stuff in there. You know, 3 or 4 times a year, I'll do a free training, which is hugely valuable, if I do say so myself, because I follow the rule of serve first, serve often, and keep serving until, you know, because that's the best way you're going to attract people. It's a good life strategy as well as a business strategy. And again, if you're interested just in the recreational side of our life, Our Floating Home is our YouTube channel.
And see, that's what makes Jim an e-hero, because not only does he serve you, the entrepreneur, but he continues to serve. And you know, he's also serving the community, and you know, he's a big believer too. So, you know, go over to Jim's website, buy his books, and in fact, one of the books I have back there is Stick Like Glue, and I really enjoyed that book. So, you know, he's got many of them. What do you have? 7 or 8 of them now.
I wrote 7 paperback books, and then last year I did a 5-book called the Dream Business Book Series of ebooks. So I guess that's 12, but 7 real books.
So there you go, folks. And this is Rob Anspach with Jim Palmer. You can visit me at anspachmedia.com. You can visit Jim at getjimpalmer.com.
jimpalmer.com.
So I'll see you all guys on the next episode.
Thanks, Rob.
See ya.